Amanda, when you speak to our clients or potential partners about adding traditional or digital advertising, these 5 misconceptions, they come up. So let's talk about the first one. Traditional is not dead. Why don't we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually hear all the time when you're looking at a budget, no traditional, no one's watching TV anymore, no one's listening to their FM station. And that's really not the case. A lot of times what we hit them back with is, if traditional's dead, why are Hulu and Amazon advertising on broadcast television? Why are you hearing them on your radio? The truth is that they know that subscription growth is built on brand awareness. So they're going to traditional to build that subscription base. So like Melissa mentioned earlier, these radio stations, the TV stations, and the mass media companies behind them, they know that they have to evolve to compete. So the lines have become increasingly blurry. So an example that pops out right away for me is, don't know if anyone who's watching is a fan of The Flight Attendant. So that show actually was launched on cable television in prime time on TBS, in the hopes that it would attract a strong viewership, and then the people who watched it would then ultimately subscribe to HBO Max, which was its ultimate home, and they would grow their subscription base. Once that season aired in its entirety on the platform, they re-released it to TBS in the hopes, again, to gain more viewership, and I'm sure have people then move to HBO Max for season 2. So, the cycle repeats. But there are a ton of those types of traditional and digital pairings. So you have, the cable providers. So you have Comcast, who owns Xfinity, and NBC Universal, who owns the Peacock app. So they incentivize you to maintain your Xfinity subscription by giving you the Peacock app for free. And then the iHeart app. So any radio stations that you're listening to, they make it seamless for you to move from your FM station in your car to your smart speaker or your cell phone on the iHeart app, so that you don't move to the competition like Pandora or Spotify. So traditional is definitely not dead, it's just evolving.
Thank you for that insight. I actually did not know about how they go back and forth to gain viewership. That's brilliant. It seems like we're in the middle of this metamorphosis of these businesses. I mean, these are huge, huge businesses that are having to evolve to us, the consumer. And it seems like we're in the middle of them trying to figure it out. 5 years ago, it was still early and a lot of people were cord cutting, but now there's this mix that you've been talking about that advertisers really need to be thinking about clearly of where to place based on these trends that you're seeing. So thank you so much for sharing. Melissa, is there anything you want to add to the traditional is dead misconception?
Yeah, sure. Actually, just to even expand on what Amanda mentioned, I believe the latest incarnation of Star Trek also followed that format of Flight Attendant, and the sequel of The Good Wife from CBS, when CBS started their streaming app and their streaming service. They moved that sequel. I think it showed on broadcast television once or twice, and then moved, and you had to go straight to the paywall if you wanted to continue watching it. So that's definitely a trend that we're continuing to see. It is exciting. We are watching TV and radio ratings rebound now from pandemic levels. There was definitely some impact in television. You had early morning that stretched later during COVID because people weren't spending that time commuting or grabbing a bite at a Panera or Starbucks. People were staying up later as well because they didn't need to get up so early to get ready for work and their commute. As we all know, it takes a lot less time to throw on sweatpants and slippers than our typical workplace attire in the morning. The ratings for television are definitely snapping back into place now that people are going back to work and resuming their former daily routines. When we look at radio, definitely rebounding most of the day parts as we return to commuting to work, driving children to school, driving home from work, and then taking the kids to spring baseball practice. When we're out of the house, radio tends to be the go-to in the car. I know that some people would say, with everyone working from home now, that just seems counterintuitive. But the truth is, you're right, there are a significant level of people working from home, but there are a lot of people that cannot do their job from home. Doctors, nurses, hospital and healthcare workers, teachers, the police force, the firefighters, etc. These are people that have to hop in their car and go to their job. They don't get to choose to, hit snooze and spend it, deciding quick, I don't want to commute to work today. I'm just going to stay where I am. They have to go to work. So there's, plenty of people out there still able to listen and continuously listening, to the radio. And I think what I'm most excited about at the end of COVID, this pandemic, returning to normal, is that primetime shows are finally able to order full season of episodes. And I've been thoroughly enjoying those.
As an advertiser, with this information, let's say that you two were running a business, what would you recommend to that business, knowing what you just shared? What kind of decisions should I be thinking about when it comes to how the ratings have changed and the fact that traditional is not dead? Is there anything, one or two big tidbits that you can share?
For me, it's all about research, making sure you know your audience, making sure you know how things change for that audience. Is that a work from home audience? Is that not a work from home audience? I always believe in research will, drive you down the path to success. And I think it all starts there.
Absolutely. Amanda, anything to add?
Yeah, I think too, taking into consideration that an omni-channel approach is really needed, because what's gone on the last couple of years has really changed the way we consume our media. So like you said earlier, Subi, some people aren't cord cutting, they're cord stacking. So you really need to look at all of your options.